fun. Welcome back to the Bodhi Bros. I'm John with AJ.
And I'm Phoenix Ray.
And we had some Zoom technical difficulties. We got booted off the network server thingamabobber. But bonuses, we decided to do a part two. Kind of ended abruptly, part one. So we're just going to slide back into the groove.
And doesn't Thich Nhat Hanh deserve a part two? Come on.
Sure. I mean, like, I think Thich just stepped in and sent some lightning bolts down and was like, guys, you're not done yet. So like, let's get a part two to this tribute. So here we go to our beloved teacher who has recently passed into the next plane of existence. We're going to share a few more things. Ray's got some stuff. I have something. And it's probably a quick episode, but here we flow. Ray, you want to take us away?
All right. There's a quote that I liked of his. We need suffering in order to see the path, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering are all found in the heart of suffering. If we are afraid to touch our suffering, we will not be able to realize the path of peace, joy, and liberation. Don't run away. Touch your suffering and embrace it. Make peace with it.
Wow, the first thing that makes me think of is my brother, because when I've had the hardest of times of my life, and like I'm looking for someone to like just connect with, you know, like validate my pain or whatever, like I trust him, and I know he'll. He's funny because he's a man of few words, but I was about to say it's always surprising what he says, but it's really not, and why I find myself gravitating to him. He'll say something, I'll be like, man, I've got this gout attack, I've never been in this much pain, and like I can't move off the couch. And he'll say something like, you know, like that, I envy you, or that sounds exciting, or not specifically in the maybe the gout case, but he'll say something like, wow, this sounds like, he's like you have something very interesting to dive into. And I'm like, I'm dying. and the way he sees it is you're going through this suffering right now that's really going to lead you, you know, if you embrace it and you don't resist it, right? And it's going to be something that's really going to deliver you to a next level of awareness, expansion, understanding, healing, whatever. And you know, he didn't say all those things. He was just like, dude, that sounds exciting, or that, you know. And he's not being a jerk or whatever, but you know, the way, and he delivers the message much better than I just shared. But anyway, in essence, it's him just saying like the quote. Right. Like he's gently reminding me that like, hey, we all go through something, and I think it's kind of cool that you're going through. He's like, I wish I was going through something, because like maybe he's coming from a place of, man, I don't have all these crazy things happen to me the way you do. Because I mean, it's very rare that he'll bring me something and I'll be able to like share any wisdom or my heart with him in some way. So yeah, thanks, bro, if you're out there watching.
Well, I think it, you know, don't run away from it, touch your suffering and embrace it. I mean, to me, that's a lot about, you know, bypassing. And that's what kind of reminds me of is, you know, the thing that we least want to do is embrace our suffering. We're always trying to find a way to escape, you know, push it away, run away, forget about it, and
take a pill.
Yeah, have a beer, you know, smoke something, drink something, bang something, all that stuff, you know, to kind of get us over that. And, you know, and sometimes, you know, we just have to embrace it and we have to feel it and we have to get through it. Cause, you know, there's that other quote that says, you know, what you resist persists. It's not his quote, but I mean, I'm sure he's probably said something similar.
Carl Jung.
If we don't deal with it, it's going to come back around, and usually comes back around with a lot more momentum, and it hits us a lot harder the second, third, and fourth time.
You know? Yeah, and you know, speaking, I referenced the gout attack of this past year. It's been 9 months since I've had the attack, no flare-ups, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I've dealt with some minor inflammation in my body, but that's to be expected after in the wake of such a major crisis, inflammatory crisis, right? So this last time, it really, I mean, like, I think I embraced that more than I ever have. And it was so severe that it kind of like forced me to, like, look, dude, nothing's working. You're not getting off this cat. 1 month went by, 2 months went by, and I'm like, okay, I'll go into the pain. Like, I'll listen, I'll embrace it all. Fine. Which was still sounds like resistance, right? But I did. And so much, as you know, I've shared with you, came out of that. And so much clarity and understanding, and really like not an unsettling, but a settling into my heart, saying like, John, this is the way moving forward. Like, you can take care of yourself. Here's the things that I need and I don't need in order to move forward in a more healthy and prosperous way. And with that pain came that very vivid clarity. Like, I never want to be back here and feel this. And so in order to more strongly move forward into my life and not have to experience something like this again, here are the answers.
Yeah.
And that only came by exactly what the quote says.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went through something too when my marriage was falling apart and I did something stupid and I lost my license for a year. And in a way, that was kind of like the same thing. Like I was kind of grounded now. I had to like kind of stay home and, only go to work, go home. And, in a way, it kind of made me a little bit of a hermit. But I kind of had to go through that phase and that period. That's when I kind of had a lot of like breakthroughs and awakenings and really.
Oh no, we lost Phoenix Ray. Come in over. Phoenix one time. Phoenix. This is Houston. We have temporary technical difficulties here, waiting for Phoenix Ray Wi-Fi connection to return. Looks like we will have him back in 3, 2, fun. Back to you, Ray.
Yeah, I was just saying, that period of time where I couldn't go places and I couldn't go out and party and enjoy myself, which what I really want to do, because a lot of times when a relationship is ending, a lot of people go on a rebound or they want to party. They kind of fall back to that old behavior when you were single, and I couldn't do that because I was kind of stuck. So what did I do? I ended up reading. I ended up researching a lot about, this stuff, and it kind of set me on the path and, learning Reiki and meeting Ramdas and meeting you.
Me?
Yeah.
Wasn't ready for this, man. Okay. I still remember you standing outside the house in Utah, and I was like, who's this guy? I feel like I should talk to him. I think we talked about the Cleveland Browns or something real quick, like guy stuff, small talk, whatever. And then next thing you know, we're sitting down doing processes on each other and like bawling our eyes out and like talking about dogs and chocolate cake and grandparents and shit.
Right.
Okay. Let's move on. So I've got something I'd like to talk about, and that is that we're going to address in volume 1 of this tribute, but here we are. And that is, and I wasn't familiar with this term until stumbled upon the teachings of Thich, and they're called Gathas. And Gathas are like 4 lines of poetry that make up like a song or a mantra or a chant that Gathas are an essential part of Zen Buddhist tradition. Using a Gatha doesn't require any special knowledge or religious practice. Some people like to memorize a favorite verse that they enjoy coming back to again and again. Others like to write the verse down in a place that they are likely to see it often, like a mirror in your bathroom, perhaps. Further, those who are inspired to do so are invited to create their own gathas. I like this. I haven't done this yet, but I really keep like bookmarking this. But now maybe more than ever, the timing is in alignment for me, especially because I love writing poetry, to support, my own particular practices in my own specific ways and situations. And so I'll share like one or two of them. I really love this one. I mean, um, it's kind of beautiful, and it's just waking up in the morning. So these are like things that you would just do that are commonplace. Um, and the second one I'll read is about brushing your teeth. So maybe, like I said, you put this little Gatha, 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 yep, on your mirror, and you recite it until it becomes part of your memory. Then you can take it down or leave it up there just to remind you to continue to practice, and honor that self-loving routine. But this one's just called waking up. So you're in the bed in the morning, and this can be the first thing that you chant once, twice, thrice, whatever feels good for you, until it feels embedded in your energetic field and what you'd like to put out into the world. And it says, waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look at all beings with eyes of compassion.
Mm.
And that also reminds me of, I don't know where I heard or saw this, but like, and if my foot should step upon you and extinguish your life or make you feel like I've crushed you in any way, I hope that at some point or something or other, I'm misquoting this because it's coming from memory, that you can forgive me, and I'm sorry, and you can forgive me, for it wasn't my intention or something to hurt you or whatever. And I think he's talking about ants, and then even humans, because he says something like, like I crushed you in any way. And
Yeah.
maybe that's not physically, but more metaphorically, and not with your foot, but like maybe with your words or your actions or something. And I thought that was quite beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's that Gotha. And then the brushing your teeth one is, so brushing my teeth and rinsing my mouth, I vow to speak purely and lovingly. When my mouth is fragrant with right speech, a flower blooms in the garden of my heart. So this one's not just about brushing your teeth and rinsing your mouth, but it's reminding you to be impeccable with your words and to flow, from a place of love in your heart. And I love that too. And there's an extension to this. It's like, as you're, especially as the Gatha becomes more ingrained in your memory, and you're reciting it from that place, versus just trying to read it and focus on getting the words right. The extension of the practice is to think about, Thich says, to, you don't have to, but if you feel called to do this, or you can do one of many other wonderful different things, but think about where the water is coming from that is filling the sink with this, water for your teeth brushing experience. And um just, you can imagine it coming from wherever, or you could try to put yourself in a place of, where does this water actually come from in the pipes, and it spills out. And then the toothpaste, what is it made of? And especially if you have a wonderful natural toothpaste, and imagine, the flowers being picked and the lavender being crushed to create, the paste that you lay upon your brush. And
Mm-hmm.
and really, like, just that total mindful connection to each bristle and each tooth. And you're not thinking about, like we said in volume 1, at some point in the episode we were talking about the monkey mind, when you're on a meditative walk and you're like, I gotta do this at work, when I get home I gotta do laundry, this and that, but you're actually each bristle between each tooth, and the lavender licorice flavored toothpaste or whatever, and the water coming from the mountains of where, and it's just this beautiful, everything becomes poetry, life becomes magic, and even the mundane is transformed into a miracle,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, and that kind of helps you see like the water and everything like that, just how the interconnection of everything, how everything's interconnected. And it kind of reminded me of the one thing that he talks about a lot is emptiness. He talks about how, this is empty. This flower contains everything: sunshine, water, earth. Everything is contained in this flower. And we also, this flower is also empty. And when people are like, what does it mean be empty? It's like it's empty of, I think, how does he say it? Like individual, like it's individually different, because everything that flower is dependent upon something else. If there was no light, there would be no flower. If there was no water, there'd be no flower. If there was no ground, there'd be no flower. So everything is like an individual existence, like a separate individual existence. It's everything is reliant upon something else. Everything is like, I guess, in a way of showing how everything is connected, that there is no you know, just a flower. That the flower contains everything. The whole universe is in that flower,
Mm,
and the whole universe is in us, and the whole universe is in, everything. Everything is part of all one system like that. And that's kind of got me thinking of that when he said how, like, where the water comes from, and now the water is coming from the oceans, the rivers, and the streams, and the pipe. And now it's, maybe you're taking, now you're drinking the water. Now that water becomes a part of you.
right.
Then when that cover comes out and you go to the bathroom, now it's come, it's all just one flow, one continuous stream of
Yeah, man.
everything.
I'm gonna write some Gathas, man. I'm going because I've been called to return to my writing, and I think that's one really, really cool way that I can take things that I don't enjoy doing around the house, or that I resent, or like like clean. Okay, like I really don't love cleaning the cat litter box, but maybe there's a way through this beautiful practice that I can really transform it and make cleaning the litter box miraculous. It sounds nuts, but I'm going to work on it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit too of that. What's that, like that Hawaiian practice? I know it's like Ho'oponopono.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking.
Ho'oponopono, no, no.
Yeah, and it says like, where it says like, what is it? Please forgive me. I'm
Right.
sorry. Thank
I,
you. And I
I
love
love
you.
you. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and you say those four things like when you do something, then
yeah,
like that. I kind of want to like start doing that. Getting it. I heard it's like really, life changing once you make that it's one of those things that sounds so simple, but it's sometimes those simple practices are usually the best, I think.
yeah. And you don't have to say that physically face to face or in a message to a particular person or experience or anything. Like you can just send that out energetically into the
Yeah.
universe, whether it's with an ex or your parents or anything like that. Like just say, and folks, it's not woo woo stuff. This is like life force. Like open your minds and your heart to what we don't know. We don't know. But really, when you start putting stuff out there like that, the magic is ignited and the miracles start coming. Like you're like, I just got a text from my mom. Like, like, or like, you know, my ex just wished me a happy birthday. They haven't wished me a happy birthday in like, 6 years, 8 years. Like, whoa, whoa, like it does, man. And because I guess what I'm saying is I really feel like your intentions are pure and your heart is exploding with this Hoponopono. No, I say it right, but this Hawaiian um, practice and just way of living, if you will. I feel like it can be received, and maybe they don't, hear, hey, my ex just said that they love me, thank you, and please forgive them, and like what, and like maybe it's not received like that, but maybe it's received in a way that it opens them up to something equal in themselves, where
Yeah.
they are um, able to enter a more expansive space of allowance and compassion and possibly even forgiveness. So, because things happen to us all the time where we're like, we just kind of like go like this, and you're like, you know what? I really feel like it's time to address this, or send some love to this person, or do that. And sometimes we can't even explain what it is. Maybe it shows up via a song or a movie or a flower or whatever. But maybe it shows up that way because that other person sent something energetically out into the universe that helped that particular message be brought to you in the form of a hummingbird or what have you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you said prior, it's all separate but connected, right? And our energetic imprints, like when we put that mindful intention on a glass of water and change its molecular makeup and make the water inside turn to snowflakes versus like whatever it starts off to before we charge it with our heart and energetic intention, right?
Right.
And I think that's the same with human beings and just stuff and other sentient beings in general. It's
Right.
really interesting what you call, and it's like if you're walking in nature
A lot of
and
people
you're
will call that magic.
right, and that's fine. I love that word. It's just so long as don't, like, I mean, do what you want to do, but a lot of people also put a negative hook into the word magic, and they're like blah 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 blah
Well,
blah.
well, I mean, I think magic is a combination of using intent and imagination.
Hmm.
So you have the imagination, you have that intent, and you kind of just use that to put that energy out there. So,
I love that. Do you have one more thing for us?
yeah.
Good. And then we'll wrap it up.
All right. Each of us may have views that we hold onto and consider to be the truth, and we are attached to those views. But if you get caught in your views, then you have no chance to progress. Most of the time, our head is so full of thoughts that we have no space to listen to ourselves or anyone else. Silence allows for deep listening and mindful response, the keys to full and honest communication.
I'll let you start this time. I'm going to be silent.
All right. Well, I mean, it says, we're so attached to our views that a lot of times when we're talking to somebody, we're not open to receive because we're already so attached to those views of right and wrong. No, this is right. That we're listening to reply. We're not really listening with an open mind and open heart to see what that other person has to say because we don't know what we don't know. So maybe our perspective is wrong, or maybe there is more to what we think, or another way. Maybe there's could be another way, an alternative to how we see things that we're not seeing. So we have to be open. We can't be so hard about our views, whether it's political, religious, spiritual, anything, anything like that. We can, we get closed off when we're so like attached. And this is a reminder. I think it's just to be open and
Yeah.
not just silent in our voice physically, but silent inner silence. And sometimes some of us are so walking around with so much stuff going on and blah 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 blah, so much commotion and talking and inside of us, and nothing can get through. We can't absorb anything new. We can't. They say that's one of the biggest practices of or benefits of meditation is the acquisition of a beginner's mind, because a
Well,
beginner's mind, you're open towards receiving and learning new stuff.
mm,
Or if you say the master and you're like, I'm an expert, you're already kind of saying I know it all.
yeah.
I'm a finished product,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and nothing can come in now. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It very beautifully said, right? And thank you for choosing that quote. I think it's a perfect way to wrap up this tribute. It serves me presently in a way that's a gentle reminder to um, that I'd like to share with everybody, that when we're dealing with other people's emotions, um, that when we get uncomfortable with them because maybe we don't like anger, or we don't want to feel sadness or grief or depression or whatever. A lot of us, myself included, are guilty of, in that moment when someone comes to us in pain and trying to share their experience, perhaps they just need a safe container and a space to express these feelings, versus us trying to change them and make them feel better.
Right.
And in your silence, you're not necessarily not engaging with them, and you don't care about what they're saying, but you're being even more of a beneficial service by just letting them get to a point to where they're like, what do you think, or do you understand what I'm saying, versus waiting to jump in and go like, hey, maybe you should do this, or hey, maybe you should do that, unsolicited advice. Or what a lot of us do when we're uncomfortable with someone else's emotion, like, oh, they're like, or we think we're helping by saying, this happened to me too. I'm guilty of this too, because I'm a storyteller. So I'm like, oh my God, this happened to me when I was younger, or like my girlfriend did the same thing to me. And there's a time and a place for that. And I think ultimately, if we're really showing up for human beings in the most loving and unconditionally present and attuned of ways, we wait for that question. Like, has anything like this ever happened to you? And then you've been given an invitation, like, yeah, it actually has, versus injecting it thinking like this is what they want. Because maybe it is, but let them, when we talked about this in the last, let them get there and offer that to you. And in my last relationship, that's one of the greatest gifts that she helped me understand through our interactions, is that I can, because I'm a talker, I'm just like, and I want to share, and I want that attention and this and that maybe when someone brings me something, no matter what it is, and this holds true for joy too, and a lot we'll get excited when we're like, oh my God, I also saw that movie like a year ago. Like, let them get to a point, let them, just like we need to health in a healthy way expand our anger so that we can release it in a in a good way, right, and not suppress it and feel judged or shamed or guilty about it, but just feel like I'm in a safe place to express this. The same is true for joy. Don't damn the flow of the joy. Like, Ray, you bring me something and you're like, hey, I got a promotion at work, and I'm like, oh shit, I think I'm gonna get one too. I just stepped on your joy, man. Like, yeah, I'm excited, but take a breath, and in that
Like
silence.
someone who's like a one-upper.
Right. Or also, maybe it's not, yes, but maybe it's also like, I'm just like trying to relate to you or trying to tell you like, yeah, I get it. But there's a place for that in this. It might happen in this conversation. It might happen tomorrow. But like, allow Ray to have his moment fully until he's exhausted it. And I'm like, dude, tell me, instead of that, stepping on Ray, like, and here's the ticks thing, like crushing you with my foot, right? Which I like, take a step back and in silence, maybe offer a question, or just give you the space to share more and go, cool, man. And then let you go on. Or if I feel like you need a nudge, or not because you don't have more to share, or like, like you don't know how to be a conversationalist, but maybe you need permission that it's okay to share more of your joy. And maybe that's because of trauma or our relationship. You don't know if it's okay, or like, man, John just started a job, like, I don't know if I want to talk too much about my promotion, but I kind of want to share with him. Then I give you the opportunity by saying, dude, how did it happen? Like, what does that mean for you? Are you staying in the same place, or did you have to transfer? Like, what's up? And now your joy explodes, because you're like, whoa, he wants to hear more, right? So that's what that little quote does for me.
Just like being mindful communication.
Yeah.
And a lot of us aren't mindful in our communication. Maybe we're mindful of what we say, what we're saying, but we're not mindful back and doing mindful listening, active listening, and really like being attuned to the other person, what they're saying, what their emotions are, what their feelings are. Like I said, a lot of times we talk, but we're just waiting to reply or jump
Yeah.
in on what our experience is or our opinion or our viewpoint is.
Yeah.
And instead of just, holding space for someone, that takes mindfulness, that takes patience, that takes like, in a way you have to, because when you hold space like that, you become aware of that stuff in you that's trying to kind of jump out, and you
Yeah.
get that like, oh, can you get that feeling like, and it's like, no, and you gotta hold that. You don't repress that, but you kind of,
Yeah.
you bring that mindful. So it's a way, it's holding space for somebody else is also a meditation for you, the other person, like that.
That's a great point. Because a lot of times you're like, oh, this person, it's all like it's always all about them. It's always all about them. Like, when's my time? But actually, with what Ray just shared is the entire time is your time as well.
Yeah,
Because it's
there's
an
no.
we just feel like the only way we can bring value is if we insert ourselves into that experience or emotion. And that's not true. I mean, hey, most of my 48 years, that's been me. Like I thought like, man, okay, like how do I add value to this conversation? And the answer is by allowing that person the space to expand whatever it is they're feeling. And and by doing that more and more with someone, you're eventually, maybe not in that moment, but going to have the same opportunity because you've built trust and security there for you to do the same with them. And then hopefully you have this back and forth and you end up showing up for each other in
The
these
dance.
yeah, it is a
Yeah,
dance.
dance.
And as we like to remind you guys, never stop dancing.
It's okay to ask for help.
Yeah. Hey, can we end this episode with a moment of eye opened instead of close, because we're always closing them. Moment of silence, noble silence for
All
our
right.
dear teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. And this is going to help me with my thumbnail as well. So we'll just do it for a few moments, like in 3, 2. Folks, I'm John with a J.
I'm Phoenix Ray.
We'll see you next time. That was a fun episode, and I'm still recording, but usually like I hit stop and like we thought like, hey, that was great. So I'm giving you a little sneak peek as soon as I hit stop, and Ray will be like, yeah, that was good. Hey, next week maybe we should do this, and like da, da, da. But anyway, there's your sneak peek. Maybe more content coming
This
soon
whole
on
show will be a tribute to Thich Nhat Hanh.
right. Check out the Patreon. There's exclusive content there. Follow for $1. All the information links below. Linktree.com/the Bodhi Bros. We'll see you next time, folks.
All right. Namaste.